Well, here we are back again with a segment. Move the way you want, but just move, people. Hey,
Boom,
Rob.
boom. Hey, what's going on? How y'all doing?
I'm good. Rob, I've been thinking, after we talked last time, I was like, this thing that ever since you and I started talking, like I woke up one morning and I was just like in my bed and just relaxing. And I was like, wait, I'm feeling like my body's feeling good. Like not long ago, I used to have, you know, uh, my feet would hurt, my knees would
Mhm.
hurt, my back would hurt, and all of this. And then the thought came to me, it's like, wait, like, why is it that all of a sudden my body's feeling better and I'm moving more? And it's like the less, and now I'm really realizing that the less I move,
Mhm.
the more I'm in pain.
Yeah.
The more I move, the less I'm in pain. So some people might be listening to this going, well, duh, Jasmine. But, the people that think like Jasmine are going, huh? So can you explain a little bit like what's that about?
Well, yes, I can explain it. Let's say let's say you had something going into a space but never got the opportunity to come out, right?
Hmm.
If something went in but never got a chance to come out, after so long, that space will fill up. Things will begin to die because it's no flush, it's no flow, it's no circulation. It just gets stale, it just gets stagnant, and it hardens and tenses. Well, that's the body if you don't move. Like, if you don't move, all of the stress, frustrations, anger, emotions, and all of that energy and stuff stays within the body, and it hardens and it comes out as masses, it comes out as tumors, it shows up as different type of preventable diseases, right? So that's firstly why. It's because that movement allows a flow of energy to go in and out of the body. So it's almost like crying, a releasing effect for the body to release certain hormones, things, and get rid of. It's almost like waste of the system. The reason you piss and shit, it has to come out, right? But for muscles, though, muscles are like rubber bands. So if you were to take a rubber band and put it in cold water and pick it up, once you pull that rubber band, it won't be a lot of elasticity, and the rubber band will almost snap, if not fray and tear apart. But if you put it in warm water, you can stretch that same rubber band over, like it has more ability to handle energy. When your muscles are tight from lack of movement, they get weak, right? Energy doesn't move through them. And when it has to, it creates a pain, right? And so that's why it's almost like a machine that's not oral. The mechanics of it don't work. Your joints don't work without proper lubrication. So that means circulation has to happen. You need to hydrate the body, right? It's how the system, in my opinion, was designed, because movement originally was how the only way you ate. It's the only way you survived because we weren't at the top of the food chain. Like there was a point where we were the middle, and before we learned how to domesticate fire and communicate, we couldn't take a lion, we couldn't take a bear, we couldn't take a tiger. We weren't king of the jungle. It was through those processes that communication, domestication of the dog, learning how to make weapons and to contain fire, to harness fire. We shot to the top.
Mm.
Well, now we don't have to move as much anymore at the top as we did when we was running for our damn lives,
And
right?
like, and also before, when we wanted to heat up, we had to look for our firewood,
Mm-hmm. Go
then
get it.
make
Go
the fire pit, then create the fire with whatever rocks. I have no idea how they did that. And then you got warm.
yeah,
So there was a lot of movement involved. That makes sense.
yeah. And
So
we
that's
just
why you
equate
keep
that.
like why do you call me like I'm an old car? Like you told me in one of our very beginning conversation, you called me, Jasmine, you're like an old car. You know, you still look good, but you know, your brakes are a little dry. Like, what was that analogy?
Okay, so um, I had this idea once. I was going through this period where I was saying that if all I had to do was keep the vehicle of creativity or the vehicle of genius alive, then I needed to take care of it, right? So I don't know when genius is going to show up, but when it calls, I need my vehicle ready to go. I need my brakes good. I need I need it to crank. I need, the windows to be down. I want my vehicle to be ready to move and take genius across the country if I have to, right? Like I want to be able to go out, get in my car, crank it up and say, if I got to go all the way across the world right now, as long as I got the money to pay for gas, I can do it, right? So that's what I mean about the body. Like if you look at yourself as the vehicle that brings creativity, joy, hope, love, pleasure to people in the world, then the way you take care of that vehicle is to the extent you're going to be able to reach. So what I was saying was, yes, you are a better, very beautiful vehicle, right? But through the course of the things we talked about in the earlier segment about how that gap was created, right? And then the way life got experienced, your brakes kind of got a little rust on them.
Yeah.
Your seats kind of like a little dry rot, but nothing we can't fix.
Yeah.
Nothing like some Armor All, a little WD-40, just putting a few things into place, that vehicle is back to new. Now we could drive wisdom and creativity wherever the hell we want to go.
Yeah. It really feels that way. It feels like, like I'm just looking at a year ago right now, but if I go back 2 years, like the other day saw me on a camera and I was like, oh, I'm still walking like a little old lady, but but I'm feeling so much better in my body, like I did a lot of Pilates, and when I did Pilates, the thing that I loved was that my shoulders would move separately. Like you have to understand that before it was like this, I was a block, there was like, it was like I was either going like this, but never like this, and that's just like really, really freaky. And it's so funny because it changes everything that I look like, that I look at. Like yesterday I was listening to the Masked Dancer. I don't know if you've seen this show. So funny because
I know of it. Yeah, I know.
It reminds me of you. I can see you doing a mask and doing a dance. But what I loved about it was like, wow, they can move their body, like they have control over the body. And I mean, I'm 51, for crying out loud. I know dancing, but I never looked at it that way. I never looked at how, okay, they have control over the foot, they have control over the hip, they move every single part. And I just thought it was really, really fascinating. And it makes me see things.
Dancers and gymnasts are some of the strongest people in the world.
Yeah.
Because they have complete control. Like I'm talking about doing something very ballistically. A gymnast runs full speed, hits the ground and bounces up, do a bunch of flips, and then stops immediately. Like if you get me up running full speed and tell me to stop immediately, what you're gonna hear is the blowout of my tires. You're gonna hear my transmission. Yeah, you ever been going full speed in the car, threw it in park? Well, that's what's gonna happen to me. The whole engine coming from up underneath. All my fluid's gonna be on the ground, and I'm gonna be there crying. Like I'm not built like that. I just know it. But gymnasts are, dancers, to be able to hold themselves on one hand in a position and then make the hip move and the ankle move all rhythmic to how they understand the beat. So they're listening to the move coincides with the beat.
Yeah.
Like it's listening and movement, so yeah. Wow. Well, shoulder shimmy you hit right there too.
I know, I love it. I really do. I'm like, I just look at things differently, and I'm just amazed. Like, I'm just amazed at how, just a few months ago, the thought process in my brain, well, first of all, it's like a few months ago, it was kind of like just, I had I call them the epiphanies. Well, maybe I could look at that, after being in this conversation of seeing what's possible and understanding that our life is created by, a series of thoughts that we've had in the past, but they're past. Like, there's now. So I can think fresh now if I want to. Like, seeing that made me want to go, wait, let me look in this direction for a little bit,
Absolutely.
and I'm just amazed at how what was true and real, which was, I'm like this forever, and that's it, and
Yeah.
and I'm I'm 2 years in, um like, it's you and I have started talking recently, but I have been looking in that area and doing things, but back then it was kind of like, I need to,
Yes.
that kind of thing. It's like,
Yeah.
I need to do this, but it was still my, like, the inner Jasmine, the Jasmine. I was going, yo, girl, like, look and see, like, okay, you need to do this, you don't need to do this, really, you want to do it. Because what I'm realizing more and more and more and more, I'm in this conversation with everybody, is that I want to live.
Hmm.
And I'm going to need my body. My body is going to need to be there. So I'm looking at that area, and I'm going to need my brain. So I'm looking at how that's working. And yeah, I think that it's a beautiful conversation to look at. Go.
What I love absolutely most about what you just said is you've basically has demonstrated or said exactly how I would like people to hear movement. I don't want people to hear movement as, if I move, I'll lose 5, 10 pounds. I want people to hear, if I get moving, my creativeness sparks and everything changes.
Yeah.
Like, if moving wasn't about the fact that you may look a certain way or this, no, movement is about sparking all senses, getting more circulation of blood flow to the brain, which allows us to see things, try things, want to do things, right? It betters our mood. We're in a better mood with less pain. Come on. That's a setup for success.
Mm.
That's a setup for success.
So guys, move the way you want, but just
Move the way
move,
you want.
man.
Just move. There it is.
Fantastic. All right. I love these conversations. We're going to come back soon. And thank you, Rob.
All
You
right.
have a fantastic rest of the day.
That's my
Bye.
jazzy hands.